I'd like today to zero in on the second reading, a few, particularly is the verses 12, 13, and 16 of 1 Corinthians chapter 4, where St. Paul says this, he declares, when we are reviled, we bless. When we are persecuted, we endure. When we are slandered, we try to conciliate. And then he goes on and says, therefore I exhort you, be imitators of me. Another translation, it says it's a little closer to a language we understand. He says, when people curse us, we bless them. When they hurt us, we put up with it. When they tell evil lies about us, we speak nice words about them. So I beg you, please follow my example. It's likely inspired by Jesus' teachings, particularly Sermon on the Mount, right? We always define love in this church as the willingness and the pursuit of the good of the other. And I always add, sometimes I add at cost to ourselves, to our own hurt. Today I would like to add also, even though it goes without saying, that this is supposed to be also with no strings attached. Love is willing and pursuing the good of another to my own hurt and without any expectation of return. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng love, no? Kaya lagi natin sinasabi, si Lord, He's the ultimate good. Walang maidadagdag sa kayamanan niya, sa kabutihan niya, sa kapakanan niya. Wala eh. Kaya lahat ng ginagawa niya, na puro mabuti, lahat walang expectation ng sukli. Di ba? Kasi hindi mo siya masusuklian eh. Hindi mo siya masusuklian eh. And so, if we love not only those who love us, but those who are not able to love us, and those who are unlovable, from whom surely we cannot expect a return, then that's the ultimate test of how genuine our love is. Di ba? Yun eh. Sabi ni Patriarch sa akin na isang beses, merong pinapag-usapan kami, may namatay kasi eh. Sabi niya, do you know that, this was when we did a funeral mass in honor of, and for Bishop Dick in Calibo. He said, burying someone is the ultimate form of love. I asked, why? Because the dead cannot repay you, right? You bury them, you take care of everything for them, you pray for them, you commit them into the hands of God, and they cannot repay you. Diba? Patay na sila eh. Cannot. But Moses in the Old Testament came up with what is called in Latin, lex talionis, which is the law of retaliation. Well, the original intent was really not about retaliation, but something that is good. Hindi retaliation, kundi justice. Kasi noon, barbaric world, ang ginagawa nila, pag na-offend mo ang isang tao, hindi ka gagantihan ng pantay. Babawian ka ng mas higit. Sabi nga, may isang scene sa isang old movie, mobster movie, The Untouchables. Sabi ng isang gangster, if they come to you with a knife, come with them with a gun. If they send one of your people to the hospital, send one of their people to the morgue. Yung gante, mas malaki. Kaya yung tinatawag na eye for an eye, actually, pang-control ng violence. And at the same time, there's some justice to it, at least hindi lalala yung sitwasyon, di ba? Pag ninakawan ka ng ganitong halaga, ang ipabalik natin, ganitong halaga rin, di ba? Pag sinaktan ka, pag sinuntok ka, ang dapat lang na ganti, suntok din lang. Hindi suntok at saka sipa, di ba? So, it had a good intent. But Jesus went further than that. As to say, okay, that may have been good, may have been what you have taught, and there's some justice to it, but I tell you, love your enemies. So he supersedes that level of justice, and he ups the ante, so to speak, into the kingdom standard. Sinabi niya, ito ang gawin ninyo. Pag may sumuntok sa inyo, huwag kayo gumanti. Offer the other cheek. Di ba? Not to shame, maybe but more than just to shame or to put the offender on the spot, but to attract them, to lure them into the love of God, to a better position in relationship with God. Yung sinabi niya, tapos meron pang sinabi si Jesus na naintindihan nila nung first century. Sabi niya, if somebody takes your cloak, your cloak, give them your tunic also, or otherwise. Kasi nung panahon na yun, ang daming may utang. Kaya pag dinemanda yung isang may utang at wala siyang pambayad, ang ginagawa in an act of desperation and anger maybe, ang ginagawa, they literally take the shirt off their enemy's back. Wala kang pambayad, kahit yung suot mo, kukunin ko para ka ginawin. Di ba? Inagrabyado mo ako tapos hindi ka makabayad. So, papahirapan kita. And Jesus would say, well, okay, they do that to you, give them your shirt also. Or makita nila, you're willing to be naked and to be exposed, but that to make them understand that you're peculiar, you're a creature of love. That you don't retaliate, but you want to pay the debt, and you're willing to sacrifice for it, and you show it to them. Sabi pa rin niya, when somebody requires you to walk 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Nung panahon na rin yun, yung panahon nila na under sila ng Roman oppression, it was legal for any Roman citizen to require the help of a Jew, any Israelite, to help them carry their load for 1 mile. Legal yun. And especially, particularly, mas gamit to ng mga sundalo, yung mga sandata ng sundalo, pag naglalakad sila, nagmamarcha sila, pwede nilang kunin ng isang Israelita para buhatin yung gamit nila para sa kanila ng 1 milya. And Jesus teaches that if that's done to you, He says, go the extra mile. Doon nanggaling yung idiom natin, go the extra mile. Pakita ninyo na you're willing. That you're not affected by their offense, but you love them nonetheless. You're not affected because you're peculiar. You're different. And Jesus also says, love your enemies. Diba? Pray for those who persecute you. Bless those who curse you. Diba? Do good to those who mistreat you. Because you are to be like your Father in heaven. If you only love those who love you, how different are you from others? Again, we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. We're supposed to be different. Kaya nga sabi ni St. Paul, sabi niya, we are a spectacle to the whole world, to the cosmos, both to angels, to spiritual beings, and to men. So pag ganun daw, pakita natin, pakita na, iba kayo. Iba kayo. Again, pag sinampal ka sa isang side ng mukha mo, offer mo yung isa. May kwento si Mother Teresa, when she was starting her ministry, hindi pa ganun kalaki, meron siyang nakitang isang batang babaeng ulila, na gutom. So, ang ginawa niya, wala rin siyang pera eh. Sinamahan niya papunta sa bakery. Tapos, nanghingi siya ng tulong. Ang ginawa ng may-ari ng bakery, dinuraan siya sa mukha. Dinuraan siya sa mukha. Ang ginawa niya, hindi siya nagalit, hindi siya gumanti. Ang sinabi niya, salamat sa binigay mo sa akin. Sabi niya, ngayon, meron ka bang tinapay para ibigay naman dito sa kasama kong nagugutom? You know, you turn something evil into good. That's our calling. Hindi madali, hindi madali. Ang pinakamadaling gawin, kung matapang tayo, labanan natin. Kung di tayo ganun katapang, katulad ng kaaway natin, at least sa puso natin o sa isip natin, sinusumpa natin sila, hindi ba? But that's not what we are called to do. You know, what we are called to do is to be like Jesus, to follow, to imitate St. Paul as he imitates Christ. You know, and we've mentioned this before, Martin Luther King saying, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. A rephrase of what the Gospel, the New Testament says, overcome evil with good. Do not repay evil for evil, but overcome evil with good. That's our calling, you and I. Again, hindi madali. But the grace of God always is at work in us, both to will and to work according to His good pleasure. And we have the privilege of being a peculiar people, a spectacle to the world, to inspire them, to lead them, to make God known to them, which is our very calling. And exactly the way it is in the kingdom of our God.